As we all develop, I prefer to say develop rather than evolve. Evolution has really given a bad name to thoughtfulness and mindfulness. As we develop in our ability to decipher reality and the world around us in a much more reasonable, sustainable worldview, developing a sustainable worldview with observations that we can actually, the conclusions we make on observation that we have can actually be sustained with, let me see, to find the right word, hypotheses, theories, ideas, conclusions that can easily be entertained because they're simple in certain ways, they're straightforward, they have like a lack of complexity in the explanation. As we proceed further toward this kind of a development in our levels of trust for each other, rather than relying, as I said in my last video, having to rely on other people to interpret reality in the world for us through textbooks and elaborate, complex theories, evolution, mathematical formula that describe the world, the experience that we're having. We need to have complex formula. As this becomes sidelined, I'm going to make a comment now on the shit show, and I think they fucked themselves big time with this obsession. They revealed their true nature with the obsession of having us injected. This shit show has been such a screw up from beginning to end. Obviously, people like myself have understood this from the beginning. We're incredulous. We're like, how the hell can people inject themselves in kids and with something that is so outrageously problematic? We don't have the answers. Well, some of the answers are coming out now in terms of a European member of parliament from Holland, I think, Roos or something, what he was called, questioned a Pfizer executive on whether or not Pfizer was aware before they marketed their peculiar product and the claims that were associated with that product, the injection, that it would stop transmission. This was claimed by all governments. This has now been refuted by a top official from the Pfizer organization. YouTube, it's not me saying this. This is Pfizer saying that the shit jab doesn't prevent transmission. So I was told I have to take it for other people because I'm a bastard if I don't protect everyone around me. And it turns out this is completely erroneous according to a Pfizer official. All right, so I'm not going to get into it. I don't know if this is strike worthy still. If YouTube, the organization that is a front for this program, basically because of all the strikes and cancellations and deletions that happened to really good people that had to find other platforms like Rumble and BitChute and all those places. I don't know how reliable they will be in the future. Anyway, my conclusion is that they really fucked themselves on this, and it's going to lead down a path toward some really the bloodletting on these lies will be extensive. I think it'll put into question everything. The idea of having emerged in a primal soup out of some kind of peculiar, at a split second, life formed amoeba type thing into strawberries and eyeballs and whatever else you want to say, all this kind of stuff that we've been fed, which if it was true, why is it so easily in a rational human being's mind destroyed. If it was true, someone like myself who has no scientific background can easily destroy the notion that is presented to us by very highly qualified mathematical genius to prove, for example, evolution, that it happened out of, a thing that produces, it's an amorphous kind of thing. Well, an amoeba is still an amoeba. I don't know what the original chart would be. What kind of a chart is that maps out from how many billions of years ago? I think they kind of make weird numbers in this billion, because we're supposedly here 4.5 billion, and then nothing happens for like 2.5 billion or more, or 3 billion, and then all of a sudden, a miracle, like Terence McKenna said. The white coats need that miracle, that all of a sudden life is there, and then everything proceeds according to some kind of spontaneous, random plan. And we have magnificent artists in front of you. A magnificent artist is sitting in front of you making pronouncements. I came from an amoeba. I was probably a dog somewhere along the line, or at least a fish. I was at least a fish. I kissed like a fish. I don't know if that's true or not. So these claims are so easily refuted by rational people that can just, without all the backup of scientific equations and formula to make everything so complex, people say, oh, it's too hard for me to understand. No, it's not. The common sense in a person is there for a reason, just like a conscience. I say the conscience, like common sense, is there for a reason. So we don't get hoodwinked by a whole bunch of people that like to get in our business, as Quantum of Conscience likes to refer to the white coats and the bastards, the owners, want to get in our business. So my point today, on reflection, I don't know if I even need to say this. It's been in my videos over and over. Yeah, I just never said it, that they've gone too far. Now, some people will say they've gone too far a long time. For hundreds and thousands of years, they've gone too far. But this shit show is actually considering the, what is that? The world that we live in, the circumstances. We're basically the same we were 1,000 years ago, I think, but the circumstances surrounding our immediate environment have changed drastically. For example, we are actually quite comfortable. We're very fortunate not to have to rummage in the forest and run away from saber-toothed tigers anymore. There is a feeling of security. And I also think this reflects on art. Art generally, people say, oh, the best art happens when you're a bohemian struggling and you don't know where your next meal is coming from. Au contraire, mon ami. I think that the more secure you are in your person, as a person, that extends into the environment. The more, in a sense, relaxed you are. I mean, there's levels of relaxation. There's like sleeping, being asleep, and just being relaxed so that you can produce something of value. I give you something to chew on in my work, not because I'm stressed out, but because I have a sense of balance and completeness in myself that I can transfer onto the surface of my canvas or in a sculpture, whatever. I'm convinced this is the best art. That there may be circumstances where artists have been struggling and in a strife, but in spite of that, they're able to produce what they produced. So the shit show, and some of my friends who were offended when I would refer to it as the shit show, is now unraveling right from the highest level of producers of this, the people, the pharmaceuticals that were engaged to present, to invent something, to inject into people. Let's find out what that was all about once this unravels even more. What is it that people allowed themselves to be injected with? There have been a lot of theories. I think there have actually been people who've analyzed, who took the magic juice and analyzed it and found some very disturbing ingredients. So I'll make this fast today. I think they really fucked themselves with this, because it opens the door to to a litany of um, depraved assertions, all the way back to, from evolution to spinning on a ball at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, to landing on luminaries with spaceships that are supposedly able to thrust through the vacuum of space. Nothing is sort of, when you're on Earth and a blast happens, you shoot yourself out from the blast because there's resistance. In the vacuum of space, there is no resistance. The blast would just, how would you get there? I mean, this is just common sense, but we're being ridiculed and denied, the way YouTube ridicules and denies anyone who dissents, who they call to be propagating misinformation. And all it is, what I've been doing, I've been struck about 10 times now. I have to wait. And frankly, I said, I don't give a shit if you erase my channel. Go ahead. It's like my purpose is larger than what I produce on a video here, although I like it. I mean, I'm still doing it because I like being able to put myself forward, and the few people that come and say, hey, nice, yeah, I agree, or they don't really say you're full of shit anymore, because those attack dogs have gone out. Hey, attack dogs, where the hell are you? What happened to you? After the Fukushima thing, which is still a huge event, again, there is another thing that's going to hit the fan. They've gone too far on all of this stuff with their toxification on Earth and blaming it on us. We're to blame. We're the CO2 breathers. We're the toxic creatures on Earth. The cows that fart are the worst of the worst, because we're going to create an Earth that's unlivable. Not their toxins. The toxins that the pharmaceuticals and the industry creates for what? To have a little bit of a cleaner sink because you spray something. All these toxic things, the nuclear isotopes created so magically out of a reaction. Oh, we're so brilliant. Why did that ever start to begin with? Well, it started because they got to blame somebody, and people who breathe CO2 are responsible for terrible conditions that are going to happen to the Earth. Well, the terrible conditions are there through toxicities that have been created by this progressive state, this woke progressive state. I love the fact that now it's actually has a name. Those liberals, those shit libs that have created these enormous dysfunctions, male and female, are no longer indistinguishable. These progressives that have completely flipped their lid, it's gonna fuck them big time. And the shit show, 2.5 years of shit show, as far as I'm concerned, they've gone too far. And it's like escalating, obviously. It's like Nero marrying his horse at the end of the empire. And some have said, I mentioned that it took a long time, like 200-300 years for the empire to collapse. Some have said, no, actually it happened very quickly. I'm more convinced it'll happen in my lifetime, and maybe even much sooner than I think. And the reason I think this is because of the shit show. They've opened the door for us, people with common sense, to really begin to take hold again and have an effect on our fellow human beings who've been so duped, obviously, but they've been so complacent. And I think the shit show is going to actually reverse this complacency on the level, maybe not everybody, not maybe even the majority, but enough people are going to create a reckoning around this. That's what I believe. And the Pfizer, this sort of thing that I saw with, I forget the guy's name, Root or something like that, a European Parliament guy who questioned the Pfizer representative and got them to spill the beans. And I think this is going to, the beans will be spilled on a lot of things going forward. And it's because of, yeah, they're very confident. They have this hubris. The owners have a hubris, like the Tsar in Russia had hubris, or Louis the 14th had hubris, or Charles had hubris. A lot of or Ceausescu had hubris. I mean, there is a litany. There is, again, so many examples of how the hubris, there is this level of confidence that, oh yeah, those stupid masses. Well, the stupid masses, I don't have a great deal of faith in stupid masses, but I do have faith in human beings who still have a conscience and common sense. And I think the shit show is going to bring this out now. That's just what I think. They've gone too far.